I was the first to tell you about the Nikon Z9 II sensor and the Q4 announcement. Since then, the internet's been flooded with AI-generated videos, claiming everything from a global shutter to a 61 megapixel sensor and autofocus that can practically read your mind. This video's all about setting the record straight. Thanks to a reliable source, someone who's been with me since Q1, I've got the real story. And if you're serious about staying ahead of the latest camera tech, go ahead and punch that subscribe button. It's free, it's greatly appreciated, and it really helps this channel grow faster than a rumor. And it tells the algorithm that maybe, just maybe, you're not here by mistake. Honesty and transparency mean an awful lot to me. My Nikon Z9 II leaks, well, they're coming from that same trusted source. The same source that told me in Q1 specs related to the sensor. That being said, things can change and often do, especially given all the delays that we've seen happen all year and in 2024. I wouldn't be shocked if the date actually slipped again, but as of now, my source is still holding to a Q4 announcement in 2025. No, Mark, not 2026. 2025, Q4, and it lines up with the original Z9, which was unveiled October the 28th, 2021, 4 years ago. The Z9 was Nikon's first true mirrorless camera, beating Canon to the punch by a full 3 years, before the R1 shipped in November. Now, there's no mention of an AI processor per se, but I was told that the autofocus has been enhanced using artificial intelligence. Apparently, it's pretty good at tracking birds and other animals, so great news if your portfolio consists of mostly squirrels on park benches and pigeons mid-strut.
Really?
But seriously, the original Z9 did have dual CF Express Type B card slots, running version 3. Now, the Z9 II, according to my source, is getting an upgrade to V4. Now, without going into a Gerald Undone level of detail, that means faster speeds, supporting sustained write speeds of up to 3,500 megabytes per second. Not bits, that's bytes. But why does this matter? Well, it means fewer dropped frames, faster buffer clearing. But let's take a look at V3 cards. V3 cards support 20 frames per second lossless RAW at 45 megapixels on the current Z9. Now, in terms of how much that is sustained, that's 1,200 megabytes per second, well within the capability of V3 cards. There is no camera on the market right now that benefits from using V4 cards. Not a single one. None, not for video, and certainly not for continuous still shooting. So, that begs the question. Does Nikon now support shooting at a much higher speeds, let's say 40 frames per second at 45 megapixels, lossless RAW? Well, that would be somewhere around, well, 2.4 gigabytes per second.
No way!
V3 certainly couldn't do that, and that's where V4 would come in. But for video, well, V3 is more than fast enough. I currently shoot with a Canon EOS R5 II. It supports V3 cards. I can still use V4 cards in the camera, and I do. This is a 2TB Angelbird V4 card giving me a sustained write speed. Are you ready for this? 3,500 megabytes per second. Sustained, not peak. But V4, well, it won't give me any benefits until I offload onto the computer, which is why I expect some sort of beefed up capabilities for the Nikon Z9 II that can use these V4 cards for what they were designed for. So, let's take a look at the sensor now. And maybe if we're getting a 61 megapixel sensor, that could play in. That's the same resolution as we see in the Sony a7R5. 61 megapixels. Are we really getting that in the Nikon Z9 II? No, that's wishful thinking, and it's mostly coming from clickbait videos designed to, well, chase views. We saw the same thing leading up to the announcement of the R5 II. Several sites suggesting that the camera would indeed get 61 megapixels. But as far as the Nikon Z9 II, nothing's changed since I first reported on the specs back in Q1 of 2025. The Nikon Z9 Mark II will not have a global shutter. However, I was told that Nikon's working on another camera, separate from the Z9 Mark II, that will indeed feature a global shutter sensor. But that's all I have for now on this mysterious camera. No specs, no body, no name, just a whisper in the wind and a raised eyebrow from my source. The source again wasn't able to comment on that particular camera. But in terms of the resolution for the Nikon Z9 Mark II, while I haven't been told a specific amount, I suspect that Nikon's going to keep it right around that 45.7 megapixels. It's impossible to talk about Nikon's future flagship camera, the Nikon Z9 Mark II, without at least mentioning red technology and how this might be improving upon the video specs in the Nikon Z9 Mark II. Right? Well, here's what my source told me about the red technology in the Nikon Z9 Mark II. Yeah, nothing. Absolutely nothing. My source is a photographer through and through. I'll keep digging, but for now, the leaks, they're focusing purely on stills, which I'm sure is a refresher or is refreshing for many of you. And it makes sense. I mean, most Nikon Z9 users are in for it for the photography anyway, not for shooting a Sundance short on a foggy pier in monochrome using, well, some sort of special monochromatic lens from 1962. But with rising prices, you should take a second look at the Nikon Z9. It's available for $49.96, making it the most affordable full-frame flagship camera on the market today. Or, if you fancy a smaller body with nearly identical stills performance and video specs, grab the Z8, a mini Z9, for just $34.96. That's a difference of $1,500. And frankly, that's hard to ignore if you're not shooting 8-hour track meets every weekend. Thank you so much for watching this video to the very end. It's very much appreciated. And if you are interested in purchasing any of the cameras I talked about, or maybe the R5 Mark I for $29.99 or the Mark II for $39.99, then please consider clicking on or using my affiliate links down below, these guys right here, because they really do help support the channel. It's very much appreciated. And if you're not a subscriber right now, please go ahead and do so. I've also published a new behind-the-scenes video this week for my insider subscribers. If you're interested in joining in, you're part of the 1% of the 1% that wants to know more about what goes on behind the scenes, and you want to be a part of the channel, contributing to what videos get published, then click that join button and become an insider subscriber. But that's it for now. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have yourself a great weekend, and we'll see you again soon.